Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a kind of older dive into some Sun and Moon sets. The reason I really want to talk about Sun and Moon in general is because it gives us a pretty nice time horizon for sealed investing and what you really should be looking for in terms of maximizing your gains. We're going to talk about all of the sets, the bad sets, the good sets, the sets that weren't printed as much but were seen as bad sets, and the sets that were amazing but printed too much. I think, finding what kind of differences exist between different sets in the past and how you can apply them to the current era in Scarlet and Violet and Mega Evolution, obviously, is going to be really useful. And you might think, well, the current eras are just so much better than Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon sets, as we go through them, we're going to start to see the bar was not very high in comparison to what we have now with illustration rares and special illustration rares and the gold cards. But just remember that Pokemon is always going to get better as time goes on. And so we will also probably look back at Scarlet and Violet or Mega and just think, man, the cards we have now are so much better than the ones, they had before. But the same kind of price movements is probably still going to happen. Anyway, enough yapping. Let's move on to the actual sets. Sun and Moon base was a very, very lackluster set. The top chase is a rainbow Umbreon. Not a bad card, but not the best. I actually think this set is a little underrated in terms of the earlier Sun and Moon sets. Like if you compare it to Guardians Rising, Crimson Invasion especially, it's a lot better. But yeah, this set is really lackluster. The boost box price though is around, you can only buy it for really 900. Looks like TCG has it at 780 for a kind of more clear market price, but it's definitely trending towards closer to $1,000. And this came out in 2017. So if you held it for 8 years, you would be able to turn probably $100 to $160 into $1,000 over that time frame. Not a bad investment, all things considered. You could have done worse, you could have done better. Let's move on to Guardians Rising now. Again, very similar to base set. I actually remember opening this and enjoying the set. I think I pulled is Sylveon in this set or Tapu Lele? I pulled this Tapu Lele GX. This was like a $70 card when it first came out because it was very playable, and that really got me into ripping packs more and more. I didn't look at set lists. I just looked at the price of the cards that I opened, and I was like, wow, people actually like these cards. I also pulled this Primarina GX in a 10. Have this in my just my personal collection. I really like this set. I really love the fuller Sylveon, but again, it's not good, especially compared to modern sets. But the booster box price is around 1.5K. This is just for buying it straight up. I've seen it locally, for 1.3K. The reason I say I kind of know this price on hand is because I have a lot of nostalgia for this set. I ripped a lot of it. So, for me, I really like this set. I just have a lot of memories, Christmas morning opening it. So 1.3K is what I've seen at local card shops that have this set. I was thinking of buying a box, but honestly, that would be a really bad investment at this point. I don't think this set is going to do much in the future. But Guardians Rising, still not an amazing set, but again, still went up a good amount. Now let's talk about Burning Shadows. Now this is definitely a Charizard set through and through. Really just carried by the Charizard GX Secret. Don't know why they made Wick this crazy of a design. The Rainbow Darkrai is also a really solid card. And then both the Charizard, and Darkrai cards, I think overall make this set pretty solid, all things considered. Love the Guzma trainer as well. But just a little bit of a sus set with a good Charizard, and you're looking at around $12.50 for a booster box. Now, if I remember correctly, there was a lot of Burning Shadows around because I remember ripping this for a long time. And also there's a lot of nostalgia around this set because Max Mofo used to hunt this Rainbow Charizard. He ripped a lot of it. It's good. It's just really in the last year, it's seen the most amount of growth. And that is going to be a trend with a lot of these Sun and Moon sets, and just in general, and Pokemon in general. Things are going to move pretty slowly in a bear market or in a more slower kind of time, which is pretty normal. But as the market gets bigger and bigger, as the market gets more and more efficient and more things are trading hands over and over again, you're going to see huge price increases when people realize just how scarce some of these items are. So as time goes on, I think we're going to see bull runs continue to carry this box even further. But I don't think this is the best set to buy into. I wouldn't really be buying Burning Shadows boxes right now. I think for $1,000, if you bought a case of Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, you'd probably be doing a lot better. You know what I mean? But yeah, still cool to see where Burning Shadows is at right now. Again, we're still kind of in the half of the set that, or in the era that's not amazing. Now we're moving on to Shining Legends. This set is absolutely fantastic. One of the best earlier sets from the Sun and Moon era. You have obviously this beautiful Mewtwo GX Secret, just one of the most amazing cards in person. I would really recommend just seeing this in person if you can. I love the rainbow texture on the Mewtwo, but you have Shining Mew, you have Shining Rayquaza, you have some cool full arts, rainbows. I just like the Shining cards in this set. The way the holofoil looks when you're looking at them is really solid. But in general, not the best Shining set, not the best Shiny Pokemon set, but still very, very solid. Kind of surprised that the Mewtwo isn't shiny here. I feel like for a Shining set, we could have gone that direction, but hey, it is what it is. And obviously the ETBs are doing insane numbers. If you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I went over this ETB when it was $500 and I was considering picking it up. Yeah, I wish I did. I think people are realizing just how cool that Mewtwo is. They really want it. And so not only that, but the Shining Ho that comes inside of the promo is also, or like the promo that comes inside the ETB is very cool as well. So I think there's a lot of reasons, to pick up this ETB. Even now, I think it's not a bad buy. I do think Shining Legends has a really, really solid cast. And in general, it's one of the better, Sun and Moon era sets. Is it going to be the best gains? Not really, but I think it's just a cool thing to have in general. I'll be picking up eventually. I just hope the price doesn't run away from me. Next, we got Crimson Invasion. Yeah, this set sucks. I will be completely honest. I ripped so much of this set because it was at gas stations. I remember, like after high school, I would just walk to the gas station and buy a few packs of Crimson Invasion, or even during our lunch breaks. I remember opening this Water Energy Secret Rare in the middle of class and just being so hyped. Those are good times, good memories, but yeah, this set is horrible. I've pulled this Olivia, I've pulled the Buzzwole. There's really not much to collect in this set. It's maybe the Alolan Executor is cool, the Rainbow Gyarados, but yeah, this set is dog water. And yet the price of the booster box is $500, around $450. Wouldn't recommend picking this up, even though it's probably not that hard. Like, it's probably a little hard to come by, actually. I imagine not many people are really keeping, tons of pallets of Crimson Invasion somewhere. But yeah, even the worst sets, if you buy them at $100, they'll 5x. And that's what I see as these lower tier sets. You're kind of looking at a very boring investment because it's not going to move much at all. It's probably going to be a little more difficult, especially to sell things like Crimson Invasion. So that's why you probably should be sticking to the better sets, which we're going to start creeping up on towards the later half. But now we have Ultra Prism. Now this is really just a trainer set. Big waifu boom really catapulted this set at some point. The full art Lily, I think the card is really solid. I just like the kind of artwork in the background with all the colors. Cynthia, this is an amazing card. I think this is probably my favorite card from the set. Love the Lusamine. If you've played the games, you kind of understand the form, and it's a cool story moment that I like. Mars, Gardenia, Lana. It's a solid set. It's definitely, we're teetering on the trainer side more so. I do like the gold cards with the Solgaleo and Lunala, but otherwise it's not really a crazy set. But the booster box has still been moving pretty well, so around 1,600 for that. And yeah, I think that's pretty fair market price right now. Again, same kind of trajectory. This year has been an insane kind of grower for a lot of these boxes, and I imagine they're probably going to stagnate for another 1 to 2 years unless we see another bull run come up shortly, right? So that's usually how these things move. Just keep that in mind. Next we have Forbidden Light. Let me go over the set list, sorry. This set is really mid. Just a lot of rainbow Pokemons. I like Lucario, I like Greninja, I like Dialga and Palkia, but there's really not much going on here that people would enjoy. Yeah, Forbidden Light. Still 1,400 though. A little surprised that this is so high. Perhaps it wasn't printed that much. I'm actually not too sure on Forbidden Light and why I did well, but hey, it is what it is. I guess you have Greninja in there. It seems to have done better than like Guardians Rising and Sun, Moon, Base, and Crimson, even though I feel like it's kind of in that same same boat in terms of the chases, right? Next, we have Celestial Storm. We have Alicia, which is a pretty big card. Rayquaza, Rainbow. I think this is a pretty cool card, all things considered. And we're starting to get towards like better sets, better Pokemon that people care about. I feel like the Sun and Moon, they really went hard on the trainer cards. The trainer cards in the early eras, early sets, they did a really good job of. But yeah, the Pokemon itself, they kind of dropped the ball on. It's a lot of like these 5-band graphics, full art GXs. But yet, I think just having Rayquaza on the box and having it as a chase card is going to be a big boon to any set. So you can see this is 2.6K market price. And in fact, it already was one of the more expensive booster boxes even before, the big boom this year. So I think if you had Celestial Storm booster boxes, you bought them for $100, you would be up a lot right now. And I think you did pretty well for yourself. Celestial Storm did really well. Came out in 2018, so it would have been 7 years ago. I think overall that kind of return is very, very nice, very solid. Not many things are gonna beat that in a very consistent and predictable manner, right? So yeah, Celestial Storm is a interesting set, and I think this kind of tells us like, hey, Evolving Skies is probably going to be really solid because it's definitely better than Celestial Storm, but also it features Rayquaza very heavily. And also if we're looking for an upcoming Gen 3 set, which could, feature Gen 3 megas like Blaziken, Swampert, and Sceptile, which already exist, and then also like Primal Kyogre and Groudon and Mega Rayquaza, like that just seems so obvious for a Mega Evolution set to get a Gen 3 set. Just like we got Black Bolt and White Flare. I think if we get that set will be absolutely insane. Just considering that Celestial Storm is a very popular set, despite the fact that it's just a rainbow rare, Rayquaza that's carrying it. Next we have Dragon Majesty. Now this set is actually pretty solid in my opinion. I know it's not a very popular set. A lot of people don't like it, but I think Ultra Rayquaza, Gold is not bad. You get Zinnia. I might be a little biased, but Zinnia is one of my favorite trainers. Just in general. If you've played the Delta episode in Oras, God, like it's such a fun mission, such a fun post game content that I think they should do more of. But overall, the set it's okay. Not the worst set, not the best set, but the real kicker is that Dragon Majesty ETBs are extremely hard to come by, which has led it to have one of the best returns in the hobby. Because they're so rare and because it was so underprinted as a set, there just wasn't a lot of demand for it. It's really hard to find them nowadays. And so, they've really been skyrocketing in price. Does that mean that things like Shrouded Fable are going to do good? Perhaps Pokemon Company, doesn't print Shrouded Fable that much because they just don't see that much demand for it. And then it becomes really hard to find. And then, it's going to skyrocket in price. Maybe if you really have conviction for it, what I would recommend is probably buying the PC ETB, if anything. The PC ETB is only like $120 compared to the regular ETB, which is $70. I think if you're going to get one over the other, you should go. They're both going to be illiquid. They're both going to be hard to sell. I would go for the PC ETB just because it's going to be more exclusive. But beyond that, I actually think the Kingdra and the Greninja promo boxes, if you're interested in Shrouded Fable, are probably better buys regardless. And I know we're talking about Sun and Moon, but I want to apply the lessons we're learning from Sun and Moon to the current sets that are available for us to purchase and pick up, because we can look at previous sets to decide which kind of modern sets that we want to focus on. But anyway, let's continue. Dragon Majesty, interesting play. Not the best play, and also it's going to be a little hard to sell because you're basically selling to people who need a full ETB collection or something. Like they really just want the hard to get ETB, even though it features a Pokemon nobody cares about. Nobody cares about the Naganadel, right? Nobody cares about the Pokemon on this box. But it's just the exclusivity of it. Let's move on to Lost Thunder. Another rainbow rare set. Cool Lugia and Mimikyu, but let's be honest, not an amazing set. I actually really like this Professor Elm card, with all the 3 Gen 2 starters. Whitney as well, the OG monster in Heart Gold Soul Silver. If you faced her Miltank or like Crystal, oh man, that was a hard gym. But yeah, this set it's all right. It's really not that good. But again, I think it kind of got the Celestial Storm treatment because it's been seeing pretty good returns. I think just having a popular Pokemon, even if the set is not that good, is still going to be a big boon. So like Lugia being the face of the set is good enough. And so what does that tell you, right? About Silver Tempest. Perhaps the Lugia really is enough to carry this set. And not only that, but you have a feature of Rayquaza and Blaziken. I think Silver Tempest is a bit stronger than people really give it credit for. I still think at, if you can get it under $400, around $400, not a bad buy at all. I think Silver Tempest will do fine just because we're seeing like what Lost Thunder is doing. Now it did get a reprint. I think, Silver Tempest was definitely printed more than Lost Thunder for sure, but I think over time, it'll still do amazingly well just because Lugia is like front and center there. All right, now we get to team up. And this is where things really start moving for the Sun and Moon era. I think Pokemon has this tendency to really just go crazy and all out in the last few sets of the era. So obviously we have the coveted Latias and Latios GX, Mimikyu and Gengar, Eevee and Snorlax, Pikachu and Zekrom. They just went balls to the wall with this set. Celebi and Venusaur, they went for some of the most popular Pokemon ever. In the TCG, they threw them all into one set. They said, screw it. We're going balls to the walls, and not only that, it was also short printed, so it is pretty hard to find these boxes. But if you bought team up boxes in 2019, so that's around 6 years ago, for let's say 100, I've seen screenshots where people were able to buy them for $80 a box. If you bought them for $80 to $100 a box, you held them for 6 years. They're now $10K. Probably closer to 9K if you're actually looking to sell, like in terms of what you're actually taking home, maybe like 9 to 10K. But yeah, I mean, this is absolutely insane return on investment. Obviously, most of the gains happened again within this bull market run within this year. People realize just how hard it is to find, just how scarce it is in general. Do I think Team Up is going to move even more in the future? Yes, but probably not at the same rate it's been doing this past year. I think you could see a few more jumps in price, but I do think there's a cap on just how expensive this thing can get. Because at a certain point, people aren't going to open it up anymore, right? We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, right now the tag team cards are they're very coveted. A lot of people really like them. A lot of people still want them. So if that kind of fades away, perhaps the team up box will start consolidating and start coming down a bit. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, team up, obviously the best set of the Sun and Moon era. And that kind of begs the question, what is the best set of the Scarlet and Violet era? Not Surging. And what should we kind of be putting our eggs into a single basket in that question? I think there's a few contenders. I think Destined Rivals is up there. I think 151 is up there. And I think Paldea Evolved is up there. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say 151 or Destined Rivals. I think I'm leaning towards 151 though. Sorry, I don't know why I completely ignored Prismatic. I think it's probably between Prismatic and 151. I don't know how I literally just forgot about Prismatic. That's crazy. You know what? Maybe I do have to get rid of Prismatic though, because when it came out, it hasn't been close to MSRP the entire time it's been out, and this set is like stacked. To be fair though, a lot of the Pokemon are not very popular. Roaring Moon, not popular. Raging Bolt, Blood Moon, Estrelina, Dragapult, Palafin. Goldengo is cool, but again, not popular. Terapagos, like Pecharunt. I don't know. These guys are really not that big. It's really just the evolutions, and even then, a lot of them have these like goofy hats on that a lot of people aren't a big fan of. And do I think we're going to get more evolution sets in the future? Of course. Pokemon loves printing money. So maybe Prismatic won't stand the test of time when compared to other Eevee, centric sets, but I still think it might be the best set of the era. But if I were going to bet on a single thing, I think I'd be betting on 151. I don't hold the most 151. I think I hold the most Prismatic out of everything in my sealed collection, but 151 I do think kind of has the most pull factor. I might be lying actually, because I have like over 30 bundles at this point, just loose bundles that I'm holding on to, plus some ETBs and a piece ETB. And I think just this illustration rare and like SIR set alone is enough to keep people wearing it forever. Plus you have the introduction of God packs, right? With getting all three of the starter line or something. It's hard to beat that. I think this might be the team up or Prismatic. But the one thing they're kind of missing from the team up angle is that they're not short printed at all. In fact, I don't think there's really any set in this era that is short printed. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything was really short printed here. Maybe Paldean Fates didn't get as many ETB reprints as they could have gotten, but I don't know. Anyway, I went off a complete deep end topic there. That's Team Up. Amazing set. I think if anything, maybe a better example would be something closer to Evolving Skies. Like Evolving Skies very clearly is the best set from the Sword and Shield era in terms of a collectability standpoint. And so obviously Evo Skies is probably still a good buy. Things like the ETBs were reprinted a lot more, but I think they're still a good pickup. The booster boxes are still a buy in my opinion, especially with the current dip. Anyway, Unbroken Bonds, really solid set. You have Gardevoir and Sylveon, very popular. Greninja, Zoroark. With Champion Marshadow, it's all right. I really love the trainer cards here, the green and red, very solid. I like how it says green, but then it's a blue background. Come on, guys, we couldn't figure that one out. But anyway, Unbroken Bonds, very solid set. Booster box is around 2.3K. So again, if you bought in, I think 2018, and you held, or sorry, 2019, my bad, 6 years. You held for 6 years, you bought a box for $100. It's done amazing things. It's multiplied a really good amount, 20 times. You've done a good job. And I think like these later half sets tend to do really well. And so you can even apply that to Sword and Shield sets that still haven't aged amazingly, or like they're seeing a bit of a dip right now. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. I think things like Lost Origin, like Silver, like Crown, Brilliant, Fusion. Fusion has kind of already seen a big run up, but I think Brilliant, Silver, and Crown, even Lost, still a little undervalued in my opinion. Or not undervalued, but they just haven't had time, right, to ripen like Unbroken Bonds and Unified Minds have. Speaking of Unified Minds, not the strongest set actually. The Misty's Favor, Mega Sableye, Tyranitar, Raichu. If the Mew and Mewtwo promo was in this set, I mean, obviously it would be even more insane, but despite not having the best chase cards or anything, still did amazingly well. Again, kind of similar gains to Unbroken Bonds, another solid set. And now we move on to Hidden Fates. This might be what we closely kind of associate with Prismatic, maybe. You have a lot of evolutions, a lot of shiny stuff, big Charizard chase, really good trainer cards like Jesse and James and Cynthia, but the pull rates I think are a bit easier than Prismatic if I had to guess. Not only that, but the promo that comes inside the box is insanely good, right? The tag team stained glass birds. Really solid set. I think this is one of the best sets from the Sun and Moon era. It's also just very fun to open in general. And ETBs are actually seeing a bit of a correction right now. So they skyrocketed to $420 when the glass stained birds saw a big jump up. I actually bought one for I think $350 to $400 while it was still climbing up. Because I bought into the hype, obviously what kind of Pokemon YouTuber would I be if I didn't buy into hype, guys? Come on now. But they've been crashing. A lot of sales volume though with the Black Friday sale. So I think there is a lot of support for this box. People like the ETB, but obviously there's a lot of listings still. What is this bode for things like Prismatic Evolution that seem to be like also, printed a crap ton like Hidden Fates? Well, the thing with Hidden Fates is they kept reprinting it even after the initial release window, and so the initial hype that Hidden Fates had, and like when it started to really skyrocket in price, was immediately quelled because they printed a lot more. That's not really happening with Prismatic. It seems like the market is just absorbing all of that extra supply, or just being ripped through by rip and shippers. The landscape is very different. I'm curious to see how Prismatic comes out the other side, and if Pokemon is going to continue to reprint Prismatic and try and give it the Hidden Fates treatment. We will ultimately see, but I think if time says anything, we tend to see that mass reprinted sets take a lot longer to get to a good point. I mean, look, 6 years ago, it's only $400. If you bought this at MSRP like $50, let's say $30 to $50, you did well. You did absolutely good. But you could have done better. 8 times gain is nothing to scoff at, right? But it kind of pales, right, in comparison to things like Team Up, like Unbroken, even like Unified Minds. And I think Hidden Fates actually has a stronger set list. And it just tells you how important supply is when you're calculating the price, right? Supply and demand, they really both are important. You can't only look at the demand. And I think Prismatic's insane supply could hurt it like it hurt Hidden Fates. We'll see, though. We will see. Time will tell. And lastly, we're ending off with Cosmic Eclipse. I mean, one of the best sets of the era. What do I even need to say? You got the ADP, one of the best chase cards, Solgaleo and Lunala, Reshiram and Zekrom. Amazing tag team trainers too, like red and blue. He's actually green in the Japanese games, you know, because red and green were the original games that released in Japan. But I guess they had to put blue here. Cynthia and Caitlyn. I really love this card. Yeah, Cosmic Eclipse is just such a fun set. Plus, you have like even smaller tier hits like this Piplup, the Mimikyu. I think they did an amazing job creating this set, and the booster box price is reflecting the love that the Pokemon community has for just this set in general. It started the year at around $1,000, is now 3K. Oh man, I thought I actually dipped recently, but I guess not. Yeah, the set is absolutely fantastic, and it kind of reminds me of the big sets that we start to get towards the end of the eras, and I think Crown Zenith is very similar to Cosmic in that kind of sense. I think a lot of people have fond memories of ripping Crown Zenith, of getting a ton of big hits. You know, the set list is also just as stacked, right? Like, in fact, I would say Crown Zenith is probably even more stacked than Cosmic Eclipse, if we're being completely honest, just in terms of popular Pokemon and the arts like available. Like, you have the 3 dogs, you have 2 Eeveelutions, you have a Mew card, you have the Creation Trio and one of the best gold card artworks ever made. You have a Mewtwo. You have a Darkrai. I'm a little biased. You know, I like Darkrai. You got a Pikachu. Like, it just goes on and on. You have this amazing Lapras card, a Latias. I don't know how you can compete with this. I truly think Crown Zenith might be one of the best investments you can make right now. People are still going to want to rip it a few years down the line. Not to mention that the ETBs you buy that come with the Lucario promo, still going to do really well. I mean, it's a very popular promo in general. So I think there's a lot of lessons we can learn from the Sun and Moon era, how it's still aging, how it continues to hold its price and its premium. Yes, a lot more stuff is going to be printed into the coming years, but we have to assume that the market will expand as time goes on as well. Otherwise, why are you really investing in Pokemon if you don't believe in its future success, right? So that's going to be the video. Let me know what you guys learned today. If there's any kind of market trends or stuff that I might have skipped or missed. Can't forget, don't remember how I forgot Prismatic Evolutions was one of the best sets of Scarlet and Violet, but I think we learned a lot. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thanks so much for watching.